Have we met that lady before? Who's this lady at the press table?
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Let's pray. Lord, we pray for our mayor and city leaders and all represented here tonight. We ask for their health and safety as they lead our city toward good things. We pray for wisdom, for strength, for courage to do what is right and good for all citizens. May they put their own interest above others. May they act with love for the common good. May they be good neighbors, recognizing your image in every person here. May they be guided by the spirit of community, the spirit of justice, and the spirit of love. May all who speak come in unity and peace for the good of 29 Palms. And we ask this all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Roll call.
Councilmember Wright.
Here.
Councilmember Scott.
Here.
Councilmember Mintz has an excused absence. Mayor Pro Tem Klink.
Here.
Mayor Bildery.
Aye. Here. Almost said aye. No closed session announcements. Change the agenda? None. Announcements. These proceedings may be viewed on demand on the City of 29 Palms website at www.29palms.org. You may also live stream this meeting by going to our website and clicking on meeting agendas link. Awards, presentations, appointments, and proclamations. Presentation to 29 Palms Interact for their participation in Cash for Trash Recycle program.
All right. Do I have anybody here from the Interact Club? Come on over. Hello.
My vice president. It's very
All right, very good. Glad to meet you. Can you tell us where you cleaned up and about how many bags you filled up? You can use the mic here.
1 second.
Okay.
It was a very specific location. I'm pulling up. I don't think it was near anything. So, you take a look at this and make sure I'm saying it right. It's the Sunnyvale right there.
You're asking me without my glasses?
I'm so sorry. No, I struggle with that too. Like, I had to find my glasses for this.
Is that
Sun Valley. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, Sun Valley?
Yes.
All right.
So
Very
we
good.
cleaned up the lot by the Sun Valley Drive. We got over 10 bags of trash, and we had two groups. We cleaned up on Saturday and Sunday from 8 in the morning until 10 on both days. We did a really good job, and the club members were glad to be there.
Very good. Thank you very much for making 29 Palms more beautiful. I have a check here from the City of 29 Palms,
Thank you.
and then I have a check here from Burtec.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much, and can we come on over on this side so we can get a picture? Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you for this opportunity. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys too. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Council comments and reports of meetings attended. Councilmember Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended some meetings with constituents, and I had the opportunity to also attend the iFestival that took place this past Saturday. I want to thank Parks and Recs for putting it together, all the hard work that went into that. Thank you.
Councilmember Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I haven't attended any meetings or anything like that. I've been doing some basketball traveling with this AAU thing. Some long trips, but worth it. So, and other than that, starting to get hot. Just want to remind everybody in 29, need to drink a lot of water. So, drink water till your feet slosh, and then you're good to go.
Mayor Pro Tem Clee.
Okay, I have not been to any meetings. My meetings are usually the first part of the month, so I am ready for Hawaii. It's getting warm out there, so everybody, like Councilmember Wright said, drink lots of water out there, and have a great week.
All right. Had a couple of meetings with staff and some outside organizations. I've also attended the ribbon cutting ceremony for the grand reopening for Ace Hardware with Councilmember Scott. He just remembered. If you haven't been in there yet, that front building when you walk in does not seem like you're in 29 Palms anymore. It's you,
awesome.
Yeah, you walk in like, where am I? It's looks beautiful. I still went back 3 days later and went through the side door, just creature of habit, until I realized, man, I should have went that. So, also attended iFest. I got there late 'cause I had a softball game, so didn't get to see the dancing, but I got food, and I spent about $80 in food because I was hungry when I showed up. So I went to every booth that was still there, and it was delicious. So once again, Park and Rec, Scott, awesome job. It was phenomenal. I just saw the end and it looked amazing. People didn't want to go home. So we had to start sending people. I saw them. So thank you once again. Good job. That's all you got. Let's go to consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are to be considered routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately by the city council. The public will be given an opportunity to comment on the consent calendar items prior to the city council's action. Council, anything? No. Public? Everyone seems to be happy. Back up here for a motion.
I move the
Oh.
consent calendar.
I'll second.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klink,
Aye.
Mayor Buildering.
Aye.
Approved 401.
Boom, 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 boom. Public hearing, number 9, request to vacate a portion of Foothill Drive on parcel map 20360.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do have a short presentation that we can go into to give background information if the council likes. This has been before the council before and before the planning commission before. In short, we're just asking you to adopt the resolution and direct the city clerk to do the appropriate filings. And we do have the city engineer here if you have any particular questions.
Anyone from the public, I know this has been seen over and over, anyone from the public want to see the presentation or anyone here to speak on it? Nobody. We can skip the presentation and go on to what we need to do. Okay, anyone? Last again, public? No?
I would like to make a motion that we vacate a portion of Foothill Drive on parcel map 20360 and adopt resolution 2406.
Second.
I'm going to formally open the public.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, sorry.
That's right. Nobody. Back up here.
Second.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klink,
Aye.
Mayor Buildering.
Aye.
Approved 401.
Discussion and potential action items. Number 10, community events grants.
Alrighty. So, hello everyone. The Events Ad Hoc Committee met recently and is recommending the following 2 events be funded for a total of $20,000. The first is Dine to Nine Food Festival and Restaurant Week by Terrence Latimer of Black Cactus. Dine to Nine Food Festival and Restaurant Week is focused on supporting the Twentynine Palms restaurant community with a focus on collaboration, great eating, and an actively engaged restaurant foodie community. Participating restaurants will take advantage of an eating and dining week focused on increasing local visibility, awareness, and opportunities to support the restaurants important to 29 Palms. The Event Ad Hoc Committee is recommending $1,500 in funding for this event. The second is Distance Duet Free Public Choral Performances by Carolyn Pennypacker Riggs. Distance Duet is a new free public performance event created in response to 29 Palms ecology and a public need for art and collective creative events to help process pandemic trauma. 2 40-minute performances of Distance Duet will take place outside at dusk on evenings in September 2024 at Freedom Plaza. It will feature an ensemble of 10 professional singers and 30 to 40 lay performers singing choral music about peace, about the environment, our relation to it, and to one another. There will also be choreographed pieces featured with the choral performances. The Event Ad Hoc Committee is recommending $15,500 in funding for this event. Should these events be funded, there will be $8,000 available for allocation to other events. All events authorized need to have the proper permitting, licensing, and other requirements before the city will issue the resources. That's all I've got.
Public? Yes, yes, ma'am.
If I said it's 18,500. My bad.
Could Scott explain more about that festival and who's the cactus, whatever, black cactus? And did I read in there really quickly, is there like food trucks also coming into that event? And what restaurants have been, talked to some restaurants in town and they've not been notified about this. Could we have more of an explanation?
All right, so it is my understanding that Terrence Latimer will be contacting restaurants about this. Initially, he wanted to do it April 28th through May 5th, seeing as how that is next week. For what my understanding is he may be adjusting his timeline because that's, next week. It's so pretty much it's to highlight the restaurants in the community and get more people in the community to go to these restaurants and support them. And so he'll be doing some marketing and all that kind of stuff, working with the restaurants, working on doing specials and all that stuff, yeah.
So are you saying the restaurant list is not complete yet?
No, he'll be contacting restaurants, or restaurants can contact him also. There's more information in the application that he sent over.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, there are some restaurants that he's worked with and talked to that he said would be willing to participate. But we're really just talking about marketing here. It's $1,500, and I don't see, there has been some discussion around the naming of the event. I don't think it's appropriate for the city council to tell someone what to name their event. But I do see and understand the concerns. And for $1,500, it's basically restaurants getting free advertising, well, taxpayer advertising.
All right, we're moving conversations after. It's all right. It's a good topic. I get it. We did receive an email. We've all read it from a ground squirrel. Mr. Mike Usher, and his comments pretty much in the letter is saying all restaurants should be included in this. And you just kind of answered what he was saying here, that they all will be contacted. In his letter, pretty much quick gist is there's a lot of restaurants that have been in the city for a very long time and want to be included in these things. That was all.
I think on that Twentynine Food Festival, I don't think I can vote on that right now until I find out how many restaurants want to participate in it. I know that this restaurant week is something that is a discussion amongst some of the restaurants. So I really don't think we should vote on that one at this time until we find out when he's going to have it and how many other restaurants are going to be wanting to be included in it.
I mean, there's at least 2 or 3 restaurants that have already kind of committed. $1,500 doesn't seem like a lot of money for advertising for restaurants, for him to actually go out and contact these restaurants. He asked for a lot more. He asked for 15,000. And I just think that, at some point it becomes petty.
I agree with Mayor Pro Tem. I think we need to solidify more restaurants. It is 1,500, and it may be not seem like a lot, but it is a lot when you're talking about, city money and not our money. So I agree. I think this should be brought back with more definite information on like a lockdown date and more restaurants. So
Scott, the lockdown day is next first week of May?
No, it was April 28th.
Yeah, so what is it now?
So there is, my understanding, no current lockdown date. Like I said,
Okay.
he did one April 28th to May 5th. But, you know, the ad hoc committee, we got together late, so.
I just want to make sure if we do table this for the next, we are not going to miss that deadline. Our meeting's after the fact, so I just want to make sure if we can do this, we can get it resolved before his actual date. We don't have a date yet.
I can get a new date for you.
Okay. Public, anyone else from the public? Motion up here?
I'll make a motion that we approve the 18,500 to the Distance Duet and hold off on the Twentynine Food Festival to a later date.
second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Councilmember Scott,
Abstain.
Mayor Pro Tem Klink,
Aye.
Mayor Bildering.
Aye.
So approved 301. 02, my apologies.
Number 11, faculty rental fee waiver policy update.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Staff is recommending that the city council update the city's current policy on waiving fees. So during the city council meeting that was held on March 12th, the Sanctuary Church requested a fee waiver for the rental of the community center gymnasium for a multi-day event. The organization provided city council policy number 1, documentation to support their fee waiver request, which does not place a limit on the amount of days that any qualified organization is able to rent city facilities without paying a rental fee. The reason for the current discussion is due to the fee waiver approval process that has been practiced over the past 2 decades by the Parks and Recreation Department. The department has allowed one free, one-day rental to all qualified organizations per calendar year. This was due to potential overuse of city facilities and the potential to limit the community from the ability to rent facilities. We currently have 9 private nonprofit organizations that use city facilities on a regular basis. If a limit is not placed on fee waivers for facility rentals, it has the potential to become problematic. The city currently has 34 private nonprofit organizations registered with the Internal Revenue Service. The city also has over 14 religious organizations and several public service agencies. The current fee waiver policy in place is vague and requires that the city council approve all fee waiver requests. City facility rentals are reserved, managed, and approved or denied through the Parks and Recreation Department. The Recreation Division Manager approves all rental fee waiver requests received by qualified organizations using the criteria mentioned in policy number 1. So the original language in the policy is in need of updating to reflect procedures for facility rental fee waiver approvals and placing a limit on the amount of days an organization can use city facilities without being charged a rental fee. This will allow for a simplified approval process. So the original policy number 1 and a sample of the recommended changes are provided for you to review. So that is the original waiver of city fees, dated September of 1989, I believe it is. It's vague in nature. It doesn't have a limit in there. I provided a sample of an updated policy that also mentions it's a waiver of city fees for facility rentals. Everything in yellow is pretty much an addition. There are some items in there that are struck out, and a recommendation on C number 2 to remove that section entirely. So you can discuss it this evening, make recommendations as is, or make some changes, whatever you decide. But I would highly recommend that we do put a limit on the amount of days any organization can reserve a facility for free.
Up here, any questions? Nope. To the public? On this one, let's see. I don't want to mess with the last name. Cindy,
Bernard.
that's your writing? You use your left hand?
Every single time I get up here, someone criticizes my handwriting.
It's like, all right.
Anyway,
That's art, I guess, right?
I know, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Anyway, I'm going to go from the top. My name is Cindy Bernard. I'm the editor-in-chief of the community news publication, The Desert Trumpet. And I'm here today because we operate as a nonprofit under the auspices of a fiscal receiver, AHA Projects. We currently have 2 community forums scheduled in the gym and community center. Saturday, June 8th, we're doing a town hall on envisioning the future of 29 Palms, featuring Stone James, our new city manager, along with Chris Clark from the 90 Miles from Needles podcast and Carrie Williams from William of Color Global 29. And on Saturday, September 14th, we reserved the gym for a city council candidate forum. So theoretically, the proposal of 2 complimentary days for the use of city facilities by nonprofits works for us. And I hope by organization you mean nonprofit. I think council should probably clarify that because not all organizations are nonprofits. However, is 2 days a fair cap, given that council recently set a precedent granting 3 days to a nonprofit, an exception to current policy? Shouldn't council then give all nonprofits the same opportunity to use city facilities free of charge for 3 days? And yes, gap days should always count as rental days. Also, I encourage Parks and Rec and Council to create guidelines for complementary use that go beyond numbers of days. For instance, should grantees and co-sponsors of the city or any city agency like the TBID or the PAC be given complimentary use whether they are a nonprofit or not, and do those dates always count towards the cap? But if we're only talking days for now, isn't the fairest solution 3 days for the rest of 2024 given the precedent that you've already set? Otherwise, aren't you encouraging other nonprofits to come in and ask for an exception for them too? Then in 2025, the council can revert to 2 days if the 3-day cap results in scheduling problems or other issues, but my guess is a more generous cap will make it easier to create great events at Freedom Plaza, which is something that all of us want. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your time. Personally, I feel for 35 years of working, we don't necessarily have to change from one day. This is something, not every problem requires a new solution. This is something that's been working without issue before. Granted, maybe we should isolate or determine like some regulations regarding it because it's a little loose right now, as Carrie was explaining. But I feel, not only are we trying to find a respect and understand that our nonprofits and our community members are part of the thread of our community, and we want to do goodwill by offering them these facilities. We also have a responsibility to the facilities themselves. I mean, as it is right now, we already subsidize the sewer for Project Phoenix area or Freedom Plaza area. As soon as we need new blacktop, that's going to be a cost. You've got, there's maintenance needs that are here. Now, we're not really making money on fees in the first place. We're barely offsetting the most minor costs as it is. And in the report, in the agenda item, it listed what was referred to as direct staffing, which I would look at like probably like at the International Fest where we had Parks and Rec that was like in the field that day, opening doors, cleaning up, being available. But what about this indirect staffing? Like Carrie or Scott has to work contracts behind the scene, maybe walk the site with these people. You've got, Abigail or the finance department that's receiving information and logging it into our books. I mean, all of this costs the city money. And so I think that's something to be concerned about as well. And what's with the facility rate can range wildly. You could rent the ball field for 8 hours for $40. But if you want to do like stage is like $132 for 8 hours. But if you want the community center, which by the way, you're paying or we're paying for the heat and electricity for a major building is upwards of $900. We're going to comp that the same way that we would comp like a ball field for a day. So it's like, if you're going to do that, maybe consider setting a cost, not a day, or keep it at a day. Because as Carrie's explaining, we've got 50-something registered nonprofits. If you just look at like 501(c) lists, range anywhere from 103 to 130 in town. And if we just start giving out the days, we're going to run out of facilities and we're going to run out of cash. So one day seems like plenty to me. And to Cindy's point, there's still co-sponsoring, which gets comped. And we have $258,000 worth of grants coming out of the city of 29 Palms between community grants, PAC, and TBIT. These organizations can't find cash someplace else. Thanks.
Thank you. That was a long 3 minutes. Anyone else? All right, close. Back up here. Conversation.
Some things are worth the investment, and if we're going to allow faith-based organizations 3 days because they're nonprofits, then we should allow all nonprofits 3 days.
So, Carrie, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
In reference to like direct costs and indirect costs.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the indirect costs would be actually when they're actually on their work schedule, correct?
Correct.
So that's why it's not necessarily considered.
Right. So when I have to schedule a staff member to come in on a regularly scheduled day off, those are direct costs associated with the rental of that particular facility. And the one that requires me to schedule a staff member most often is the community center, because we do not allow the general public or any organization a key or the access code. So I have to schedule a staff member to go in there, open the facility, come back and close the facility, help set up things of that nature.
All right.
So.
Well, before you go there, we need to understand that the nonprofit for 3 days, they found a hole in the system.
Yes, they did.
So it
I
was
was
never
not
happened.
aware of that
Yeah.
policy until they actually emailed it.
So it wasn't
to
like
me,
we just
so.
granted it. They just found it and we can't take it back because there was nothing saying they could not do it. So it had to come to us to vote on it. We voted the way it went. So us changing it right now was not taken away from anybody, because for the last 8 years that I've been sitting up here, that was never an issue. It was the first time I've ever heard 3 days. So we're not taking away from anyone. They were just smarter and read through it better than we did. So that's how that came about. So recommendations?
Yeah, so in our recommendation, we can recommend like these changes, correct?
Yes, you can recommend what you want to recommend. That's
Okay.
why we're here.
All right, good. So I like the recommendations Carrie put in here. And so my thing would be to leave it at 1 day, but make these changes to the policy, but leave it at 1 day. That's me.
I agree with the 1 day. Is there a way, Carrie, when we have to bring in our employees, is there a way to waive that as well as the 1 day for if they want it 2 days? You know what I mean?
So what I would recommend is, if you're planning to waive the fee for 1 day, if everybody gets 1 day, we do have fees associated with nonprofits. They're at a reduced rate,
Okay.
except for the community center. If they wanted to rent the gymnasium, we do not have a reduced rate set into place yet for nonprofits or other public or private charitable organizations. So we could potentially down the road put a reduced rate in for them as well. If you're going to waive the hard cost, the staffing cost, for somebody to go in and open and close the facility, that's up to you to decide tonight. So
How much would that be?
it depends on how many hours it would take. For instance, Scott and I will be on location Thursday to help lay out the carpet tiles. It's going to take us several hours. But I would say average 2 to 3 hours, depending on the event.
That's usually 1, 2 people, 3?
Typically one
One
person.
person?
Yes. And it's the fully burdened hourly rate is what we would charge for a staff member to be scheduled to work that particular facility.
Well, I like all the changes on here. I would just go with 2 days per calendar year, but not consecutive. Like they get 2 days out of the calendar year, but not back-to-back days. That's how I would, that's
So
would be my,
you wouldn't want May 24, 25?
they
okay.
get one,
Okay.
they get one, yeah.
That was just a recommendation.
Yeah, no,
You can
I
go with
like it.
whatever you want, but I just put 2 days in there just as a sample.
But it's a 2 days a calendar year, so they can do
Right.
one January 5th and then do an August, like they're doing. They got one in June and one in September.
So I will tell you, just as an example, nonprofit organizations, if they wanted to rent the Lucky Park Activity Center, they get a reduced rate. It's only $46 for the first 2 hours. So it's a reduced rate. Like I said, we do not have a reduced rate for the community center gymnasium for nonprofits or other approved organizations.
How did we come up with that reduced rate?
So that rate has been on the books as long as I've worked for the city. I don't know where it came from particularly. It was just always been there, and it's gone up over the years with the cost of living and all that.
So, like, what, I don't know if you could tell me, but what percentage is it reduced from? You know what I mean?
So let's see. Let me look here. Resident rate, a for-profit. So somebody or a resident or a for-profit would be $85. Nonprofit is $46.
So half.
It's almost half. Yes.
So are you saying then, what Mayor said was 2 days, but they have to be separate? But can they have the 2 days together, but they would have to pay the other one?
The second day.
The second day,
Yeah,
but they
could
still
make a
get-
reservation for 2 days.
They
yes.
still get another day?
Yes, 1 day would be for free. They would have to pay for the second consecutive day, and then they would get another
Gotcha.
free 2, 3
Okay.
months, 2, 3 weeks down the road,
I
but
was
not 2
kind of
consecutive
confused on
days.
that,
What's
That's
the-
the way I understood it.
I'm sorry, what's the issue with just giving them 2 consecutive days?
Just like, for example, because she brought up Miss Cindy Bernard, she has 2 events going on, so she has that June and September. She already has her 2 days. I mean, she's gonna use her 2 days. And if we have to bring people in to come work 2 consecutive days of an event, we're gonna get paid for at least one of those days, not 2 free days of bringing people in. So they gotta come there one day and set up. The next day they come tear down, at least we're gonna get paid for one of them.
And plus, if they do consecutive days, like she has 2 different dates, she's only gonna get credit. Like if she did 2 days in June,
So it'll be
They will be free
She'll get
because she's
2
not,
days for free.
unless she has
Yeah,
more days than
but I'm
she's.
saying, and then later on in the year, she tries to do an event, she'd have to pay for all the dates.
She'll have to pay for that second day, or all of them.
Third day,
Yeah.
fourth
Yeah.
day, fourth, fifth day. Yeah.
You could just do it by dollar amount though too. You could do a cap by the dollar amount. And so you could say each nonprofit gets, I'm just throwing a ball figure out there, but $1,000 worth of exemptions throughout the year. Other cities do it that way. We could
Well,
say 2,000, 3,000, whatever we want to say, but we could set it by that so they can use it whenever they want to use it throughout the year.
Well, I think
like
if we
the-
charge them the hard pay and the rental fee, it is in the
That
thousands.
complicates things a little bit,
Yeah, it goes into the thousands.
But I
Yeah.
like the reduced
The
rate.
reduced rate.
Yeah. And it
Mhm.
sounds like it's about 49%, so we could do that too, right?
You can do that too. You could, in the future, whatever you put into this policy, you can override that, or the next council can override it if they think something should get 3 days in a row.
Okay.
That's what you're here for.
All right.
You know, if you put it into a policy, we know what to tell people when they call up and ask us, what can we do? What is there for us to do?
Okay.
So it's in writing. I almost think that we should get this worked up with a little bit more explanation. I'm just saying in my mind, and bring it back to you with dollar amounts and everything else that I know that Carrie has, because I see that your interest is a little bit broader than what we have here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
We'll do that.
I
And
agree.
Council Member Scott can get more of your math involved too, so we get everything, and then, of course, your guys' input.
And if you have any more thoughts, you can get it to them, but you kind of said that you like what you saw.
Yeah.
So we clean it up so it looks like it's not just gonna, it'll be a sample, but it'll be a cleaner sample. And the things that you spoke about tonight, they can get that included.
All right.
So do you want me to put a dollar amount on the sample?
I think you should have the, just like we have, the waiver fee is in a separate spot,
Okay.
you know.
Yes, please.
It's not on there because we change the fees every year, maybe. But they just wanted to see it. I could hear what they were saying.
How fast is the turnaround for you on that?
Friday.
So next meeting we can.
Yes.
Okay, I want to get this done too. So
No worries. I
Yeah.
want to get it done too.
I know.
All
I
right.
got you. So we'll just table this.
Tape. All right.
We good?
Yep.
Why, thank you
Thank
for,
you.
yes, clarification. We just-
Yes. Thank you
appreciate
for iFest too.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Number 12, flooded LED illumination Bluetooth activated permanent mounted warning signs.
That's a heck of a title.
Yes, none of those words go together really, but it is.
All right, where's my agenda? I closed the agenda. Yeah. To the right. All right, go on, just like I'm going on to the agenda, right? I got it. If it pops up here, City of 29. I guess I could just do this from memory, but I'd rather see it. Look at there. I couldn't do that a few weeks ago, could I?
Learning has occurred. Now that you're leaving, you figured it out. Thank you.
Yeah.
There
All
we
right,
go.
well, the city has been a member of, in the past, what they call PARASAC, and it's a public agency risk-sharing authority with 50 other cities. They recently came together with 2 other risk-sharing authorities, and they call themselves CIRA. And we had money left over in PARSAC because we had, they're like our risk management and our employees' liability and things like that. Well, we had $142,000 that was left in a fund there. So CIRA finally made a proclamation where we can start to retrieve that money, and it has to be used towards a safety project, a safety training, anything to do with safety. So I went to the department heads. We had ideas of what safety programs we might be interested in, and the one that came out that seems the most logical by far, it was in public works. And what we have is we have washes and places that flood often. Here's the way it rolls in the past. They find out that it's raining because it's wet. They drive out to the park maintenance building. They get our A-frames that have a yellow light on top of it and a flooded sign screwed onto it. They take it out. It could be raining right now. It could be dark. They get out of the truck. They have to place the signs, and they go on to the next spot. There's 20 of them that they place at this time. These activated lights are permanent. They'll always be there. They have a Bluetooth capability to where they roll up to within 100 yards of it. They can activate it. They can come back and turn them off. where in the past we have to come back. We have 2 people in a big truck doing this, by the way, to pick them up, put them back in the building and get them ready for the next time. So Parsac has this, what they call grants funds. We got 3 quotes. $57,000 is, we'll do all 20 of them. We will mount them ourselves, the city will. And you turn in the grant funds and they repay you, and we move on down the road. So but it's our own money already. It's money that we, like I said, we got it because we had safe programs for quite a few years. Not saying that we aren't having them now, but that's not everybody gets that kind of money back. So once if we do this project, you approve it, we get it done, it's ready to ship. The flashing LEDs say when flooded. They think they can have them up before the rainy season starts in June. No, in the past we've had near misses, and we have had quite a few A-frames DOA when they came back. It just completely crushed. So we think this is a great idea. The park maintenance guys were quite. They really like the idea. It keeps them out of the rain, which is another good thing. So it's good for public safety. It's good for staff safety. So that's what we're looking for. We'd like to put this together and make it happen.
Right. Council discussion? No? Public? Got one. Cindy Menard. I can read it this time.
Hi, I'm here as Indian Cove resident Cindy right now, which is, and maybe the engineer can just answer this question, but you know, in Indian Cove and Rattlesnake Canyon Wash, there's never been a flooding sign. For the first time, actually, since I've been here full time, I happened to be coming down 62 during a rainstorm and saw for the first time what happens when the river of water that I know goes down my road hits 62, and 62 was flooded from Lear all the way to like somewhere around 49 Palms. I mean, and it was scary bad. And I just thought, well, this is insane. There were no signs. There wasn't even a flash flood warning. So I'm wondering how you came up with this list of intersections that doesn't include Rattlesnake Canyon Wash and 62. I don't know if that's because it's 62, so it's Caltrans maybe, but I do know that it's all the way through Joshua Tree. They have signs for all of the intersections that flood. And then once we get to 29, there aren't any. So that's just my question, and I hope you'll consider adding Indian Cove there if you can. Thanks.
Right, Caltrans is Highway 62. I know that we have one that's Lear and Amboy. These are historically, when it floods, they always flood. In the desert, sometimes it depends on where it rains, and you can have flooding where you've never had flooding before. But I know that I hear what you're saying. I can pass that on to Craig. But these are historically dangerous intersections. 3 of them we know have had people have deaths that we know of. They've been around a lot longer than we have. So the ones that we were hitting right away, this first part, when we're done with this, if we do this project, there's still $88,000 left in the fund. So I don't know if they would want to put more signs, or if there's another project that would be as beneficial to the community and the staff. And if we find out exactly, I'm sure Craig will know exactly what you're talking about, so we can get that discussed. Sometimes things do have to be pointed out to us. We don't see it all. And one of the things is they drive around because not always are all these places going to be flooding at the same time. Sometimes they're all flooding, but other times they go and look, so that makes the Bluetooth way better. But we can look into the exact spot she's talking about.
Okay.
And if Caltrans, if it really is that bad and it's continuous, Caltrans we can also talk to them also. So I'll get exact spot from you. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? No? That's your 3 minutes, Cindy.
Wow. heck, I talked longer than she did.
Yeah. Back up here.
I think, thank you for that explanation on the 88,000 there's gonna be left, so we can look at this down the road and say there isn't a problem there in Indian Cove to put one up there.
I think my math
All
might have been
over.
wrong. It'll be 85,000.
85.
Yes, sorry.
That changes everything. Sorry, Cindy, there's probably 3,000 each. Anyways, if there is no other discussion, I'll make a motion. I make a motion that we purchase the flooded LED illuminated Bluetooth activated permanent mounted warning signs for the price of $57,551.55. And authorize the city manager to execute all documents necessary to complete the project and accept CIRA grant funds for project reimbursement.
Second.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klink,
Aye.
Mayor Bildering.
Aye.
Approved 401.
Future council initiated items. Can we get that 2-9 moving sign on the next agenda? We can
Do
just,
you want it on the agenda?
Yeah,
Yes,
just-
please.
we'll just get that,
Okay,
whatever, we go, there you go.
Max second. Oh, yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
I'm just
We're bringing it up.
bringing it back.
I'd like to
All
get that Dine 29 event back on the agenda next week. Okay.
It's on.
To remind you, you told me to remind you, the presentation that went last. Council-
The environmental grant?
You told me you told me to remind you.
It's coming up in which meeting?
Uh,
Environmental grant with Women of Color?
I think it's May 14th.
No, you told me to remind you, so just doing,
You told me to.
you, at the
I didn't tell you to.
ribbon
Right,
cutting.
first meeting in May. Right, the next meeting.
You're good. All right. Public comments. This is a time for the public to address the city council on issues within the jurisdiction of the city council that are not on this agenda. All comments are to be directed to the city council and should not consist of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during their comments. There is a time limit of 3 minutes per person. If you haven't already done so, please fill out a name and address slips and give it to the city clerk. The city council is prohibited by state law from taking action and discussing items not included in the printed agenda. Public comments on specific agenda items will be deferred until consideration of the item on the agenda. It's on, sorry.
Mayor, council, members, I'm going to attack Larry Bowden. I don't know how you guys feel about him, but I just want to say thank you, Larry, for an outstanding job. Really, really appreciate all of your attention, getting back phone calls, your terrific reports that you give. Going to be missed. And I just want to say thank you.
You can clap, you can clap. She must not have dealt you every day, huh? Miss DeBernard.
Two things. I want to second Mary Jane. It's been a pure pleasure having Larry as city manager or interim city manager, and it's been a pleasure to get to know you a bit better, Larry, and we're really going to miss you in these chambers. I hope you do come back and stand in the back and hassle us a little bit sometimes. Something I just wanted to bring up is this, either the last meeting or the meeting before that, and I can't remember his name because I didn't write this down. It just occurred to me off the top of my head, but he's like a Cub Scout or Boy Scout that's come up and talked about the youth council. And I asked him about it, or he said something. Somehow we had a conversation outside of chambers after one of the meetings, and how disappointed he seemed that it wasn't moving forward very quickly. And it hasn't come up for a while. So I just wanted to, I know you can't speak to it, but I wanted to bring it to your attention that people are wondering, where did it go? And maybe that could get on a future Huh?
Go on your, when you sit down, go on your phone, go to Facebook.
Is it there?
Twin Palms, and press release went out today.
Okay, glad to hear it. I would love to also be on that press release list, by the way, Cindy. Thank you so much for Desert Trumpet.
I thought it was Cindy Bernard for Indian Cove right now. What happened?
They sent that out because they knew she was coming.
Yeah, they saw that. Oh, she's coming, so send this out right now. Yeah. Anyone else from the city, public? Oh, why are you waving? Why'd I say it? Come on. Fill out your form. Huh? She wants to come up and say, thank you, Larry, for everything.
I know, Mary Jane stole my thunder. But thank you, Larry and Miss Cindy, for all the work that you did during the last 6 months, right? October, it's been a while. And staff, I'm sure and I know Human Resources and everybody really chipped in to, get us through this transition to a new city manager. So much appreciated. And then also, this isn't really the perfect venue for this, but it was convenient. It would be great, I think, if staff spoke maybe with Carrie or somebody else about, now that we have Freedom Plaza's been built and now we're getting a bunch of events. There's things that are going on, and it's been a couple years since we did Party at the Plaza. And with the upcoming PAC Workshop 29 celebration, which is on Saturday, it just came up through conversation that hanging banners, there's no method to hang banners at the stage. We got conduit in the back. You got to borrow a ladder from somebody to get up there and put it up. So now that we're going to be having more events and things going on, you couldn't address everything when we were building the building, but maybe we could do pulley systems or something that makes it convenient and safe and easy for people to put up their signage for events. And I'm sure that Parks and Rec would have other suggestions for some tweaks or little value add that we could put over at Freedom Plaza that would help these communities' events. So thank you.
Thank you.
Is that true? Yes. Okay.
Long-awaited city manager's update. All right.
Hey, once again, discussion today about the sign hanging method that will be done at Project Phoenix. So it's moving. I coached a lot of sports in my life, and I won some and I lost some. The ones I won, and everyone said, great job, I had really good players every time. I never scored a basket. I never got a rebound. Never hit a home run. Never did anything. There's a lot of good players here. Everybody chipped in and helped out. Listen at me getting a little emotional.
Hey,
I wouldn't be doing this if I was addressing a basketball team. I appreciate the help that I got. And sympathy, man. I mean, I work in a building with 5 women, and they seem to be able to read when I have some kind of issue in my head, and they help me get it figured out, or I just figure it out so that they'll quit looking at me like that. So thank you to all of those people. Thank you guys for letting me have this opportunity. I realized I need to be more social in my life than I was the last 5 years. So I do plan to be involved in some things, but it's not going to be in controversial things. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Is that your update?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. To echo, hey, everything you've done, been awesome. I mean, you've had a lot of deep conversations, so thank you for everything. You did a phenomenal job, and I'm not gonna say I'm gonna miss you because you still call me. We still see each other. I'm still gonna request your presence here and there. Yeah.
Yeah, Larry. Thank you. I could tell just by your little talk there and your cheering up how much love you have for the city of Twentynine Palms. We greatly appreciate what you did last 6 months, and like you say, you had a lot of good people behind you to help you out. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Larry.
So
Thank you.
if,
Thank
the,
you.
if the next city manager doesn't do so well, we know it's not the team. I gotta get you. You're here. All right. We good? All right. We adjourn this in the memory of Paul Smith. Meeting adjourned. Who's, what did he do? I'm trying to think. I just know him.